Welcome back to the Hillside garden. Spring is in the air. I've got some other projects going on which I'm not going to document on YouTube because it's not really I'm not the expert on timber framing, but I want to give you a little update from the Hillside garden because I haven't really done much over winter. It's a bit bleak here, really, to be honest, and I've done a little bit of propagating and stuff. There's not a whole lot to report, but now everything is springing into life. Although it's 4th of May, and often by this time of year it's already very hot and very dry. It's certainly not hot, though it's a bit dry again, not as much rain as we would like, familiar pattern repeating itself. But anyway, I've been trying to get on in the Hillside Garden, so here's a little bit of what I've been up to. Firstly, tried my hand at a bit of grafting. Not sure if we're going to get anything on that one. Just for a bit of fun. These are grapevines that are no good, but I wanted to put some seedless variety on them that my family likes. So let's see if I've never had much luck with grafting, to be honest. I don't know. Probably just my technique's bad. But what have we been doing up here? Up here, I've been. Looks lovely, doesn't it? But this hillside, I'm trying to suppress weeds, and I'm continually dumping leaves and all sorts on here to try and get it more fertile, because I want to plant a few things up here, and I already have planted these blueberries which are flowering for the first time. There's another one in the grass. I really need to mow around them a bit. Good amount of flowers on that one. They're all growing under this pine tree, and I hope they'll like it here. But also hiding in the leaves is a hascap, which I'm hoping will do better than it has so far. Another hascap here. This looks terrible. It's a mango. I just stuck it in the ground. It won't survive the winter, but I'd rather it died outside than in a pot in my house. It's going to die anyway, but who knows? Maybe I'll find the first frost-resistant variety. Not happy with these sea berries. This is a male sea berry, very slow to leaf out. Something doesn't seem very happy. And this was a female sea berry, which is doing even worse. I don't know why. It just seems to not want to leaf out. I mean, it looks like it's dying. To be honest, I'll be very surprised if that survives this year. I'm not sure what's going on with those sea berries. For super resilient pioneering plants, they're not doing that great. Got a pile of hay here collected from the neighbours mowing over there. Gonna dump it all on my annual bed. Nothing very exciting happening in the annual bed. Got some tomatoes out. It's a bit cold for tomatoes, but well, can't wait any longer really. And there's a few bits going in there, but here we've got the garlic. You may have seen in a previous video me planting last year. It's coming up nicely. It's probably 40-50 decent heads of garlic there. I'm not going for mega production, but it'll be nice to have. Then under the trees I did a lot of propagation of strawberries, both wild and domesticated, if you like. Oh, there's going to be a few there. I didn't even see that little patch. And I really want to spread the strawberries, because they're good, great ground cover. We love to eat them. What's not to like? And more strawberries growing here. More strawberries strawberries over there, so they're not really flowering yet. Maybe it's too dark for them here. But I mean, just a note, look, this under this tree. See, the previous owner of this place would have just mowed under this tree, mowed it to death, just so you'd have nice short grass. Yeah, it kind of looks nice, but you end up with this because it's just grass. It won't grow in this stuff. But I've been dumping a few, just scrap wood, really, just leaving it under the tree, branches, not mowing. And look, we get this little woodland ecosystem happening. I mean, this is what I want. Okay, there's nothing very food foresty here. Like, there's nothing, apart from the strawberries, nothing really edible there. But that's the kind of environment I want in my garden, And, oh, this thing took. I got this, pulled this out of a garden somewhere, and, it's actually spread down by the compost. Here is a hazelnut that I think I just randomly stuck in the ground last year. I just cut it off and stuck it in the ground, and somehow it took root. All this stuff is chervil, which is on its way out. It's getting a bit much. We make some nice soup and stuff out of it, but you get a bit sick of it, to be honest. Black currants, doing better this year. Still like to see a bit more growth out of them, but it's only their second year, and they seem to have done fine, actually. There's not going to be many blackcurrants this year, but hopefully they'll be spreading in future years. And all under here, you can't see them now, I stuck bear garlic. That's wild garlic, which we pick around here in spring. It's gone now, it's finished now, but I fancied having some of that, so this seemed like a good spot for it, as long as the chervil doesn't completely suffocate it. I'd like to have that coming up next spring if I can find it. Bear garlic is great stuff. You eat the leaves, and it's a bit milder than regular garlic, but it's good. And here I transplanted some more comfrey, the fabled comfrey that you're supposed to have in your permaculture garden. Go and watch David the Good's recent videos on comfrey. It's kind of funny because people go on about comfrey in permaculture circles, and for good reason, but it's kind of funny. It's almost like a meme now, comfrey. But I didn't have it growing naturally. I mean, of course, it's a useful plant to have around, and but it didn't grow naturally in my garden at all. So I've been trying to get it going, and I was just in a field playing frisbee with my kids the other day, and I found a huge clump of it just growing in the middle of a ploughed field, and I thought, I'm having that. The farmer's not going to want that anyway, or they'll just plough it up and churn it up even more, and it'll grow even more next year. So I pulled a load out and divided the crowns, and this was all floppy yesterday because I'd cut the roots up and damaged it, and it's already coming back up. So I'll be really pleased to have a nice clump of comfrey by the compost here, and I've planted it in lots more places around the garden. So hopefully we finally get the comfrey population going, and so this will be a real permaculture garden now because I've got comfrey. Here I've got a little, I think it's called Black Magic. It's a grapevine. Mrs. Hillside gardener thinks the compost bins look a bit ugly, and so I'm going to train a grapevine over them, and I fancy trying Black Magic. Round here, no sign of action yet. This is all that's left of the compost because I've used it all in various places, of course, around the garden, but I've stuck pumpkins in here. I won't need this till the end of the year now. I'll be filling this bay up. So I want pumpkins. I grew pumpkins in here last year, but it wasn't a huge success because it was super hot. I'm just hoping it won't be as bad this year. If I work my way around here, you can see the results of something I was going on about last year. For instance, among these branches I've put this here just to protect it, there's a little elder springing up, one of the many elder cuttings I stuck in the ground, and I'm really pleased. I hope that's going to take off. It's probably, the conditions aren't great for them either, but once they get going, hopefully they're going to start providing chop and drop and shade and organic material, all sorts. See, when you don't mow, you end up with little characters like this. I think that must be a hawthorn. Got no objections to having a little hawthorn growing there. It'll hide the compost bins from the neighbour as well. You know, these things, these opportunist plants will spring up when you don't constantly mow and chop and try and raise everything to the ground. But, you know, most of my neighbours don't think like that, you know. Oh, there's another elder. Let's see what else we can see. Yeah, so I'm really hoping the elder sort of starts to form a natural hedge, and I'd like to have the flowers and everything in spring. I mean, it won't happen this spring, obviously, but this is jujube, which I planted. You won't see many jujubes growing in Serbia, but I'm hoping to have this one. It doesn't seem to be exactly thriving, but you know, I think it'll get going. I think it's quite a hardy, thorny sort of plant. And here's another example of when you don't raise everything to the ground, well, you leave characters like this springing up. This is some kind of wild pea or something, but it's obviously a legume of some sort. So rather than mowing it down, I've left it, and I'll probably either mow it halfway down or something later, just to kind of release some of that nitrogen, or maybe I'll wait till it's flowered and put more seeds out. Yeah, another example of when you don't mow everything to the ground is this character just springing randomly up. I think that's a mulberry. I could be wrong, but there are no mulberries growing around here, so, well, if it is a mulberry, then a bird's brought that in, and you know, it's just sprung up next to these grapevines and next to this plum tree, which isn't going to last too many more years anyway, but, you know, I'm fine with that there. The typical way of thinking of my neighbours and many people, they'd never allow that. They would have chopped that ages ago, because it's in the wrong place, you know, which is a real shame. I'm going for a different approach. What have we got around here? Oh yeah, little persimmon that I bought. It's one of these sort of flat varieties. Couldn't tell you what sort it was, but I tried. That was very ambitious. I tried to graft another persimmon in there from a neighbour. That hasn't taken, I'm pretty sure, but I'll try and do it again at some point. Once I've got some proper branches coming out here, I'll try and graft a regular persimmon onto their regular persimmon, the sort of round big ones. I'd like to have both on one tree if possible. Around here somewhere, yep, I stuck some comfrey in there. I mean, it's looking terrible now, but even if it dies back, the root will be fine. It will grow, it will spring back up, and I planted more comfrey along here. And this looks like a parsnip. I did stick some parsnips around here, so could be. But anyway, this is where this original swale was that I built, and this is the area I expect to green up a lot. There'll be all sorts growing here. I think it's going to be a very good spot for things to grow this year. Here we've got the crazy sunchoke or Jerusalem artichoke springing up everywhere. You think you've got them all, don't you? You think, oh, maybe I dug up too many and didn't leave any for next year. No way. There's always, you know, we ate some last winter, but there's always plenty left in the soil. It will spring up even from a small piece. I'm glad to say my asparagus patch is finally kind of taking off. We've harvested a couple of asparagus. Is that the plural? This is one I broke off. Okay, it's not super, still not like super vigorous, so I'm obviously not trying not to harvest too much. I can't see any new spears coming up, to be honest, but several plants have come up. Here's another one. Here's another one. I'm just being patient. I planted these from seed like 6 years ago, so they're taking absolutely ages to grow. And you're probably wondering what this monstrosity is down here. Well, what I'm hoping for here is, well, I'm hoping to do a kind of Three Sisters thing. So where you see in the cardboard, you might see holes there. I planted corn through there, not just any corn or maize or whatever you call it. It's some purple variety I got brought by a friend from South Africa. And so I thought, let's try it again, because I've never managed with corn. So I planted it through the cardboard, and once it starts to shoot up, I'll probably actually remove the cardboard. The cardboard just to suppress weeds temporarily and, you know, keep the moisture in. And below, these three heaps are going to be pumpkins or squash of some variety. In fact, I've already planted that because it's not going to get in the way of the corn. And once the corn starts coming up, I'm going to plant beans in between the corn, and probably some some other squashes like courgettes or something between the corn, and try and get the Three Sisters thing. I'm not too optimistic about any of it, to be honest, because beans never work out for me because it just seems to be too hot for them. Pumpkins have been very poor the last few years, again because of the heat, and corn never germinates properly for me, and it gets attacked by all sorts of bugs. But okay, so let's try planting these three together and do like the Native Americans. I'm sure they knew a thing or two, so maybe that will work out for me this time. We'll see. I'll report back on the progress. It could be a complete disaster. I'm ready for it because I have many disasters in this garden, but it's okay. We have some successes too. Okay, more of the strawberries finally taking off around here. And this Williams pear that died now emerging from, I think, below the graft. But yeah, whatever, we'll just leave it. It might be some nice pears on there, or if there aren't, then we'll graft something else on there, assuming I learned my grafting skills improved by then. Another strawberry patch, which I really need to just weed a little bit, but I don't want to do too much weeding. And yeah, we've got lots of flowers. Looking forward to strawberries. I think they're a bit late this year, like I say. And what have we got? Here's a sea berry. Now, this is a new plant I bought last autumn, so it's looking a lot better than the one up there. I hope that remains the case. And also Hascap. Now, these I got in end of last summer as well, and they're looking quite healthy as well, healthier than the ones up there. Seems to be more growth going on. And you wouldn't see it in here because of all the chervil. Look at all the chervil growing along my slash heap, my junk heap of wood, all along there. So much more fertile. It's incredible, really. So I think it's really working out. These you may not have seen the video last summer, but I piled up lots of prunings and wood and all sorts there, and now we have a kind of fertile border to plant things next to and in. And here is another little red hazelnut that I just sort of stuck in the ground. And there's other stuff here you won't see. Again, I'm sort of waiting for it to all kind of take over. But there's another Hascap. Here is one of the many gooseberries that I split up from a plant we had up top and planted all over the place. And here, well, this is kind of patchy, but I'm sort of getting where I wanted to be with this area, because this was super dry and infertile, and I planted a lot of clover, and a lot of clover has come up, although very patchy. Again, very patchy. This is partly where moles or voles dig up their little piles and they leave I don't know why things don't seem to want to grow in that, but we're getting somewhere. We're getting green matter growing. We're getting these little wild peas or whatever you call them as well. And the idea here is to wait until the clover's flowered and produced seed, and then I'm going to mow it. I mean, I could mow it now. This is white clover. I could mow it now, but we're into May. We're going to be into flowering soon. I'd rather leave it to flower and get seed, and then when I mow it, hopefully that'll scatter the seed everywhere and we'll get going again. What else can I show you? Well, around here, these peaches I put in. I don't know. I'm struggling with peaches. Whatever I plant in the way of peaches just doesn't seem to do very well. Got some beans though, broad beans or fava beans, as some people call them. And along here, well, we've got another sea berry that I put in there. Got another sea berry here, and also I've stuck some pumpkin seeds in here. I wouldn't mind pumpkin sort of spreading over this area, but again, I'm really relying on this swale thingy doing its work here and retaining some water downhill, because otherwise it's just going to be too dry again for pumpkins and the soil too sort of infertile. But let's see. That would be cool, just to stick a few pumpkins in, not worry about them, and have them grow down here and fill up this space. This was also, I think there's a peach as well doing a little bit better, and there's a third peach as well. Again, red heaven, right? Red heaven, which is leafing out, but it's just not doing great. I don't know what it is with peaches. Okay, and then here's the other sort of banked up pile of wood stuff. Again, all this chervil growing up here, which is just soon be over, but I'm just leaving the flowers for the bees. There's a lovely borage that's come up, probably from the seed I scattered last year. And well, along here, oh, there's another borage. Nice. And there's more of the comfrey that I stuck in. I just stuck in all over the place. Yeah, it's recovering because it was very floppy. It's amazing stuff. It just springs back. And look, there's already like 3 stalks there coming from the one crown, which I didn't really want to split any further. I just thought I'd let it grow this year. And you almost can't see, but oh look. Oh, well, that is the first failure I've seen. Looks like it was an elderberry, and it's slightly green in there, so I won't write it off just yet. It might spring up from the roots. Haskaps here. I'm deliberately letting these weeds sort of grow around. Weeds, they're providing some shade, some protection, etc. I mean, at some point I'll go through and chop the weeds and use them for mulch around the plants I do want to keep, but I'm just kind of letting it grow at the moment. It's nice to just have everything green for a change. Well, greenish anyway. Cherries. Despite the early frosts, we are going to get some cherries. This was the best tree last year, and it's definitely not going to be as productive this year, but that's pretty normal. It might have been the frost, but more likely it's just having a rest this year. But we've got other cherry trees, so I'm not too bothered. Here is another elder. So, elder dotted around the landscape. You can't see it now, but I'm hoping to have elder filling this space out, elder filling that space. I think I might have a black locust there somewhere as well. And, I just want to fill up the whole area with that kind of stuff, with green stuff. So this is looking really green. I'm really kind of pleased with that. It's not all clover that I planted. There's some other stuff growing there as well, but we'll see exactly what that is. Over this away, this bit of the bottom part of the garden where all the walnuts grow, I'm still not entirely sure. I think eventually I might need to plant, pawpaws or something that's relatively happy living with walnuts. Here is a little chestnut that I grew from seed. it sprouted this spring, actually very early in February. I took it out of stratification. It was already putting out a shoot. So I thought, well, let's see how much progress we can get. And the funny thing when you do that, it just seems to stall. There's nothing like nature's way timing. And, I thought, if I get it going in February, by June, it'll be, this tall. Well, it just kind of seems to have stopped a bit. So we'll see. I planted it out. I thought, let's just plant it out and let it fend for itself. I'll water it a little bit and stuff. But anyway, it'd be nice to have another chestnut. And round here, let's see. I did something. Yes, I planted some pawpaw. Speaking of pawpaw, these I bought in as small seedlings, 1 year seedlings, and there's another one here, and they're right to the north, not the north, more like the west of this apple tree, and hopefully there'll be plenty of shade there for most of the day, because they seem very sensitive to hot sun when they are this young. And this experiment of mine again didn't really work out, but I tried to sort of get some things growing under this tree, and they haven't really taken off. But we do have strawberries, both domesticated varieties and forest, wild strawberries. And there's a random parsley which I vaguely remember planting, but I didn't expect to see that there. So there's not much going on here, so I do need to kind of think, okay, what could I do under this tree? I'm thinking something like blackcurrants, or I didn't get around to buying any more, or I haven't got enough to propagate myself. And round here somewhere, I planted pawpaw last year, and it all died on me in the sun, as I said. But this year we have tiny green shoots emerging from the stump, so that's going to take a very long time before that grows, but at least it survived and I get another pawpaw. So I guess that's just some of the stuff I've been doing around here. I'm trying to green this area up. I'm trying to fill it with organic material, living or dead, to promote water retention, to stop runoff, to increase the amount of organic material on this hillside. And the garden's starting to look like a jungle, which is kind of the look I'm going for. I don't necessarily want it to look untidy, and at some point I might start to sort of shape it a bit more, and tidy up around the trees, put wood chip around the trees once I eventually get hold of enough quantities of wood chip. And but for the time being, I'm happy just to let it grow and let things pop up that want to pop up, like these wild roses, which there are at least 10 of dotted around, which I didn't show you, but they just pop up on their own, and they want to grow, so let them grow. They're pioneers. I can chop and drop them, and gradually over time, they might give way to something else. And hoping for flowers on this chestnut this year. But the general idea is to fill this area out, green it up, and it'll probably drive my wife crazy until it starts to actually look like something worthwhile. But I'm hoping to really increase the fertility here and increase the yield and make this a much greener, more pleasant and more productive space than it was. So that's it from the Hillside Garden, I think, this time, and I'll be back fairly soon, hopefully with some new experiments or other of mine.